by a huge
Hurricane
Hurricane Charley.
Charley,
Hurricane Charley.
86.
Wow. And we were seeing them border, what's it called?
Put boards
Secure the
on, yep,
windows on the
secure the windows
thing.
with boards and
Hello, Courage, Confidence, Connections podcast fans. I'm back. I'm your host, Janice Debo. Today, yes, there are two people on your screen. You're not seeing double. And we're having a great time getting to gather here. This is Hans and Kerrie. Now, we got the last name mixed up, so we'll just talk about that later. Kerrie Martinez, but we'll get all that worked out on the end of the show as far as what's going on. You have got so much going on in your life, Kerrie, and Hans has joined the party, so to speak. But in any case, welcome.
thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm just glad with your crazy schedule that we can get you on here when we did, and we're just going to have a good time. So what I'd like to do is have you both just chime in, whoever wants to talk. Talk to me a little bit about your history. You have a fascinating story. I did see the documentary, and of course, I've known you for a while. So let's talk. Kind of like where you each came from, and I know it goes back a ways. So let's just jump in and tell me and our audience all about it.
Dive in. Go ahead, honey.
Well, I was in the Army and stationed in Fort Story, Virginia. And me and my buddies used to just go out every weekend and get a hotel, enjoy the beach, because we hated being on the base. And one day when the hurricane was coming,
We didn't know it was coming
Yeah,
yet,
we didn't
but
know it was coming, but
it was our first day that we had gotten to Virginia Beach. It was a senior trip, my senior year of high school.
and myself and some buddies were hanging out in front of a 7-Eleven.
Yep.
And these two girls walk up, and I don't know, she was so cute, man. And I mean, I can't remember who exactly was with me. I know their names, I just don't want to say them, I guess. But next thing you know, I don't know who spoke first.
You did, because I was
All
shocked.
right. They were kind of like nudging me, like, "Hey, man, go ahead, say something, blah, blah, blah." And I was, how old was I?
19.
And I just thought she was the cutest thing with the ribbon in her hair and beautiful black hair. But and we just started talking and we walked back to the hotel. And meanwhile, now I'm hazy. I can't remember things, but we were getting news that we were going to get hit by a huge Hurricane Charley. Hurricane
86.
Wow.
And we were seeing them border, what's it called?
Put boards
secure the
on,
windows
yep,
on the
secure the
thing.
windows with boards and
Yeah, it's really I can't remember half of the stuff, but I do remember some boardwalk stuff. What would be under the boardwalk stuff? And the lady saying, "What are your kids doing down there?" I'm like, "Oh, let's get out of here." But yeah, it was some fun times.
Oh,
And then after that, we just kind of the distance was really bad. And plus, my brain was not functioning for like something steady. She was always, saying already like planning the future or whatnot. But my young, dumb, I didn't know a good thing when I saw it, and here it is. God, how many years?
26 plus 13. I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, I knew. So anyway,
I was on a summer trip before my senior year. My family had moved to Arizona, and I moved in with my friend Kerrie and her family. So there were two Kerries, and her mom took us to Virginia Beach for this special trip. And it was funny because all the way there, we laughed at, we were 17 and we just talked about everything, and her mom was really cool. But I coached Kerrie the whole way there. Don't meet anybody, don't fall in love, don't look at anybody, don't talk to anybody. So the first night we get there, we walk down to the 7-Eleven from our hotel, and there's at least 4 guys sitting on the curb, and I'm like, oh, great. First thing, because they were, you could just tell they were like gonna cat call or whatever. So we totally ignored them. I'm like, don't even look, just go in the store. So we went into the store, and I had really curly long hair, and I had a little ribbon up in it. And when we came out of the store, it's funny because Hans was the shyest of the group, but he spoke to me. I don't remember what he said, but we stood there with them for a long time and
I said, hey,
talked.
baby. No.
Yeah, right. And so we just said, do you want to come back to the hotel? We didn't have cell phones back then in 86. And so we went back to the hotel, and these guys stayed there till like, I don't know, it must have been 11 o'clock or so at night. And I just remember thinking, this is the most, the word is, but I was just mesmerized by this human. He was so fascinating to me, kind and sweet. His eyes just had so much depth. And that's the last thing I remember of that day was we were standing at the elevators like this. And as the door closed, I just went, I want him for my future. I just knew that he was supposed to be in my life. And we probably had 3 or 4 really fun days before the hurricane hit. Arcades, the boardwalk,
restaurants.
What was our favorite one? Captain George's
in Virginia.
Mhm.
Seafood buffet.
So within that, I mean, it was a very intense week being together. We left, I think, 2 days after the hurricane, but it was amazing because we went out. It was our hotel, the boardwalk, the beach. You went to the boardwalk, like 17 feet of beach gone. So we couldn't even do anything. It was just gone, just a complete straight cliff. So we just hung out. We did go to the base to say goodbye. And then it was just kind of a long distance relationship. He did come to see me. I was living in Ohio, trying to finish out my senior year of high school. He came to visit me in Ohio. There was a time where he had to call me and say, I'm leaving the country. I can't tell you where I'm going. Can't tell you how long I'll be gone. And I can't tell you when I'll be back. And I was like, oh, this is, I'm 17. This was a new thing. And gosh, 3 or 4 weeks went by, and the phone rang at like 5:45 in the morning. And I just knew it was him. I always could tell or feel and that's one thing that we have even to this day is like a telepathic connection of some sort.
Yeah.
But fast forward, I ended up moving to Arizona with my family and finishing out my senior year there. Hans stayed in the Army, and we both met our spouses, and we married the first people that we dated after we and we had beautiful children. But he never left my mind. So and he wrote me every night because he worked in the guardhouse every night. And he was an amazing artist. So he drew me pictures. And I still have some of them to this day. But so we went our separate ways. And in 1997, my husband and I, at the time, were moving up to Arizona with our 4 kids, to Montana. And I found all of the letters when I was packing and moving. So I looked him up on like the white pages or something. And I talk about courage. I hung up like the first 3 times I called, and
She almost got me killed.
his ex-wife was very
Who's this?
very unhappy that I had called. But I spoke to her first and just said, I have 4 children, I'm married, it's just that, he was just such a special person to me, and I always wondered what happened. He wanted to go into like graphic design and art. Needless to say, he got married, they had children young, and he ended up working in sheet metal.
Man, didn't know
It's
that.
just like, our worlds totally
Didn't go the way.
didn't go the way that we thought they would. But so that was in 1997. And she said, "You've got 5 minutes to talk to him, and don't you ever call again." And I
It
said,
was like standing there with the foot tapping. I'm like, didn't want to say things, but I was kind of under duress.
so, and I meant no harm. That was not, he was such a dynamic human. I wanted to know his mother.
Oh,
Like, I wanted to know his whole life because he was just so, and then I got sick in 2009, after my divorce from my husband. And at that time, I was diagnosed with MS, and I was working, and then the next day I wasn't. And that was right about 2000. I got divorced in 2004, and then about 2009, when I joined Facebook,
oh yeah.
I was so excited about that, connected with people from 3rd grade, and sent him a friend request because I just thought, you know what? I sent him to everyone I knew. Married, unmarried, young, old, I sent him to everyone. Because when you're stuck in bed 24 hours, it's just, so
Yeah.
never heard from him, on and on. Moved to Central Oregon in 2010. And 2012, my best friend, that also got to meet Hans in Cincinnati, Ohio, had come out for a visit, and it was April
Mhm.
2012. And I showed her all the pictures and the letters, and we laughed and talked about all the fun that we had when he came to Cincinnati. And I took her to the airport, and I came back, and it was kind of like that movie, You've Got Mail.
Oh,
Now,
There was a message from him
I saw that.
on Facebook.
I saw that friend request, but just kind of shelved it till I didn't want to do.
3 years I was on the shelf.
I'm just very faithful, you
Mhm.
know. I kind of just sat up there, and I knew the divorce was coming eventually, because she had asked like many times, "I want a divorce," but there were things that were happening up there, and then she'd come back and say, "I don't know why I said that," and then, but after my 2 kids moved out, there was just no reason to continue. I kind of
Yeah.
stayed for the family, but they moved out, and I was like, well, so I asked, I don't know if I should be talking about this.
She can edit it out.
Okay.
Oh, now listen. It's likely, don't even worry about it, that the people, you don't need to use names. You just say whatever you're comfortable with, because,
I won't say a name then.
yeah, don't
But,
say names.
so when I said I want a divorce, and I have never said that, she just looked at me plainly and said, "I've wasted my life with you." Yeah, and in my head I was like, "Oh, so the 2 beautiful kids and the fun time we had and all that." So that was the seal,
Sealed the
the
deal.
cherry. Yeah, that was it. I gave her half of my whatever I had in the bank, and it was a very amicable divorce. But I don't know why I led into this.
Oh, because of the Facebook. Because I sent you
So when I
There we
finally
go.
got that letter that said April 12th, you are now divorced, blah, 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 I accepted the thing, the Facebook request. And then we were just talking and talking and talking. I was telling him, yeah, I'm gonna drive from Massachusetts to Florida.
To move with his family.
Yeah, to move with my mom, and because she had the extra room, and maybe start up some college because my body's getting older, and the physical stuff was not, it was getting tough, ladders and carrying and whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta walk 14 flights of stairs carrying giant sheet metal. And anywho, we just started talking, and one of the saddest things I had to do was, it was sad the marriage was over, and have all kind of turmoil inside of me. But I remember leaving my little Chihuahua Ren, and my ex-wife probably thought I was crying more for her, like the spouse part of it, but I was actually just dying from the little. She was just the sweetest thing. But anyways, I practically left everything and just took a small U-Haul trailer. I just basically dumped it on the sidewalk. Whoever wants to grab it, it was like vultures, and it was all gone.
Wow.
I drove to Florida. Meanwhile, I'm talking to her on the phone, and she's comforting me because I really fell apart. And we just started talking more and more on the phone. She really helped a lot. Then, after about 3 or 4 months, I decided I don't want to go to college here. Let's go something new. And she was saying, come out here to Oregon. We have a college. And I was like, okay.
He was in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, I was in Tampa,
So
Florida.
he went from the northeast side of in the States down to Tampa. And then after he got to Tampa, and I said, well, you could try it up here. And so made plans. I sold a washer and dryer set that I had, my pride and joy. Sold that, sent him the money so that we could get him the trailer and move whatever he had out here. And so the fun part about that, he talked to his mom, because at that point I was still really sick. And we actually didn't have quite an answer for what was going on with me. They still had me on Copaxone shots for MS. But so he had a long talk with his family, do you think this is a good idea? And well, do you love her? And blah, blah, blah. And so lo and behold, he made the decision he was going to come out to Oregon. And
during the weekend,
so he went away.
I went to Miami to visit my cousin, Eric.
He went to a football game, so the Dolphins game and a baseball game, and he was gone the whole time. Well, I knew this was happening. So I called his mom and said, can I come down there and just be with you for a few days while Hans is gone? And I'd like to drive back I didn't want him driving the country by himself. And she was delighted because she didn't want him driving, by himself either. So I got to hang out with his mom and dad. Out him for the first couple of days, but it was so funny because he got back on a Sunday and I was sitting in the living room and we kept waiting and waiting, and his mom is just as anxious and excited as I am.
I was literally like 2 blocks away, and she called and said, where are you? I'm like, Mom, wait 3 minutes, I'll be there. Okay, hurry up. This is all like in Spanish. Yeah. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Walk in the door. I never saw her in the corner there. So I come in and I give my mom a hug. I said, that was great, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, yeah,
He's trying to turn him.
She's trying to move me and trying to make me see. And I'm like, what are you doing, Mom?
It's great.
And there she is sitting in the corner. Like, I dropped my keys on the ground. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? That was just awesome. It was beautiful to see her. She was just so much taller than I remember. I was like, wow, you turned into so tall. I'm like, I must have been, I don't know, a spurt. I don't know. Anyways.
It was 20, I think it was 26 years in between the time we saw each other.
Yeah. a long time.
But we used to spend like all night talking on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
fall asleep, wake up, talk again. But we just had the best time. We stayed in Florida for a couple weeks, drove to Arizona or drove across the South, had an I mean, we still laugh about the stories. And I think that's kind of what started. I mean, we have so many stories that we laugh at and make fun of, and
That sandwich
from
shop,
that,
I'm not gonna.
yeah, the sandwich shop we were at, the lady that was there said, "Can I help you, sir?" And he walked up and gave his order, and then it was mine. And she goes, "You."
Right off the bat, I just noticed she's like, "Oh, I don't get a ma'am or may I help you?" It was just like a, well, to me, she was like so much nicer. And
Yeah,
then when it's her turn, she was like, "You."
you,
You could tell it was just like attitude.
instant.
And I was like, "Oh," and then she's like, "That's okay, honey. She's probably gonna go home and get a beating from her husband."
Oh gosh.
He's just always, he has got such great one-liners, and so he can turn that stuff around for me, like, and make it into something funny. And so we just have stories like that from that cross-country trip. And we spent 2 weeks in Arizona with my family and friends, and then headed up to Oregon. And gosh, you started school that was September. He started school in January. We
Oh,
got married in February on Valentine's Day in 2013.
wow. So your whole story is about courage. It really
It-
is all the way. It takes courage to not just I've been across country. That took a lot of courage, but just the fact that you reunited and you had to feel a little apprehension. Is this person going to be the same? Do I, what kind of apprehension did you feel, Hans? Was there like she sent the friend request 3 years later. I don't even know how you kept a friend request for 3 years to begin with. But you know, so what kind of apprehension did you feel of reconnecting? Because you had to be a little bit like, is this the right thing?
I was, but man, I had so much fun with her. I was like, I needed that because
Yeah,
I spent the latter part of the wedding just suffering, mentally and
the marriage, not the
yeah, the
wedding.
marriage, mentally and physically. There was a time where police, came and involved, and I had all the bruises, contusions, and blood and all that, but they still had to. They were like, "Sir, you have to go." So thankfully, my friends in Long Island uh, accepted me, and I hung out there for I don't know 3 weeks.
good.
Uh, they knew that they knew me, and they knew that there was a problem there because they would have never. I mean, they clothed me. They were just super, super great people.
Oh, good.
Did you have any apprehensions about coming to Oregon?
No, I was ready for anything. Yeah, I was.
That's
He
great.
didn't seem like he had any really.
No, I was not one saying, "Oh, this is the right choice." This is the choice.
Yeah, well, what's amazing is that 26-year span and how you guys both had lives and children and spouses, and yet you stayed in touch at different levels, and how you came back together. Because I have heard the story before. We may have to put the documentary link on the at the end of this because I love that. So let's fast forward a little bit because I want to talk just a bit about what's going on now. But Kerrie, we met through business, and of course, got the logo on the shirt, Results Insurance Billing, and and so Hans, what did you? I'm gonna ask a few questions here. Hans, what did you go to school for? What was your when you got here in
Computer,
Oregon?
computer science,
Very good, very good.
information science. Yeah, but it turns out that was not the way I went. I ended up going to Best Buy and doing computer stuff, but TV stuff, entertainment centers, and whatnot, and it was a field. So I was not cooped up in a store. I was actually going to people's houses every day
He was the Geek Squad
as a Geek
agent.
Squad agent.
For those, yay.
It turns out about 8 years is the limit
Oh, I
because
can
it
believe.
started wearing thin. I've seen changes from those 8 years, how um was it 8 years or so?
COVID changed things
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
for a lot of industries, and
A lot of us.
yeah.
Yeah. So, fast forwarding to Kerrie. Kerrie, you were in medical insurance billing and bookkeeping. You give us a little background. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but let's kind of do a fast forward how you got to where you are, what you're doing, and then we'll talk about what's going on in life now, which might take a few more minutes for sure. Tell me,
Well, I was always a numbers person. I have been doing bookkeeping probably since I was 15, and got hired at a hospital when I was 18.
Mm.
Became the supervisor of department in patient accounting by the time I was 20. Had a staff of about 17 by the time I was 21. Had my kids, got recruited to different doctor's offices and things. And then after I had my daughter, I had 4 kids that were under 5 years of age. So I stayed home after Kendall was born. And then we moved to Montana, and I stayed home there. But I also had a small medical billing business in Montana.
Oh.
And I had that for about 7 years there. And then I had to give that up when I got really sick. And 2019 just kind of decided that, and there's kind of a story behind it, but got back into medical billing. Never thought I would be there again, but got back into medical billing, and just worked the business and slow and steady, and met you that way, hired you as my fantastic business coach, and it's just been on fire.
Yeah, I can tell it has. And there's been a little through all of this, almost a year now since things kind of got absolutely on a fast track and a fast train. And it seems like you guys are even closer than ever because Hans has joined the business.
Yes, he has. It's been phenomenal. We've grown so much, and I've needed him really for a couple of years now, but he needed to be ready to make that jump and that decision. And he did that a month or two ago.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Month and a week, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Let's talk about what started happening last May, because I watched you go through this and I was a little horrified, and I'm like, oh no, you're not doing all this at once. But because I see you're very courageous, you're confident in what you do, but you also stepped into the unknown in a very big way last May when all this stuff started rolling forward. So let's talk about, well, you hired your daughter. That was a little, Kendall came on board. So that was a big step for you. Anytime you get family involved in a business. And so you guys have a great relationship. But in May and June, give our audience a little taste of what Kerrie was dealing with.
Yeah. So Kendall had worked for me almost from the beginning, but she wasn't an employee. And that was the scary part. She wanted to be an employee, 40 hours, insurance, all that. So I was getting all that together. And then through a connection that we have with one of our clients, we met with a realtor. We never thought home buying would be an option for us. But we met with her, and we met with her on a Sunday, met her again, and ended up putting an offer on a house in Prineville at the same time and I was doing business trips around the state, meeting with different providers in Portland and things. Our daughter got married in June. And then our son graduated from college as a filmmaker in July in California. We all got COVID. Then it took us probably 3 weeks to move because family was here for weeks at a time for the wedding and into July. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. And I think we were talking about it before we started the podcast that I just don't even know that I've recovered from last year, because then at the end of the year I had a surgery myself, and it just feels like I need just a step back and I don't ever have time to do that. So yeah, it's been a busy 12 months.
But that's not everything. There is even more news.
Yep. So in between all of that, I took a role in my son's final student film where I played a therapist. And it's so exciting because this kid is incredibly talented, and now my face is going to be splashed all over the big screen because he wants me to make my own IMDb page because I'm in 2 movies now.
Yeah,
And
sure.
Oh,
so yeah, and he's entered that movie into film festivals all over the place, and so we'll be in Portland for the premiere of it at the Oregon Short Film Festival in Portland on the 27th of April.
And that's nominated.
And he's nominated. He's a finalist for his film and the screenplay. So that's exciting. And then in about 9 weeks, our grandson is going to be born. So Kendall and Andy got pregnant right away after they got married last year, and off we go. And grandchild number 8, right? Yeah. And then another one due in August. So that's 9.
9.
wow. I didn't know about all that, but wow. Now the film business, of course, I've interviewed Michael, and that was a fantastic interview with him. I followed his career from over a year ago, and of course got involved with him on another project that didn't pan out, sadly. But I think that's why I have a lot of passion for what he does. I've watched him just go. I can't even put words to it. I see the potential that he has, and I'm sure I'll interview him yet again once he gets past all this so he can talk about the success. It is exciting, guys. It's so exciting that he embraced who he is. I mean, granted, he drives a big truck. We won't say for who. We don't want to give any plugs, but he still did this in the middle of caring for his daughter and a full-time job. And of course, he went through all this stuff with you guys, and then the move and the graduation. So it's admirable. I see so much courage in the family and confidence. Now, confidence doesn't come very easily as a rule. We have to go through stuff typically, don't we? And then we start to go, yeah, I made it. And so our courage leads to confidence. But the connections I find is an interesting piece for you guys, because you reconnected after 26 years. And I just see how all this plays out, that things are really shifting for you and your family. You've got a home, and now you're not having to, go to an office. You're working out of your home. But you've also got other family members that we have failed to mention. I believe last count, you told me you had 5 dogs.
Yeah. We have 3 tiny chihuahuas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then last fall,
2 cats.
I got 2 kittens. I adopted 2 kittens.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so the family is continuing to grow.
To grow. Yes, we do.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We're huge animal lovers.
Oh,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
Sometimes,
Now, go ahead.
sometimes, sometimes we talk about another bird too.
Yeah, I'd like another African gray
Oh, wow.
parrot. And that's it. Then I'm done.
No horses, cows.
No,
I've had horses.
you said chickens, maybe.
I would love chickens. I would really love some backyard chickens. I'm a big uh outdoorsy kind of gardening, flowering animals.
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And you're in Prineville, you're in,
Yeah.
out in the country.
Love it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's fantastic. Let's wrap it up with anything you guys want to share, because I do believe we might, if we have your permission, want to share your documentary, because that's an exhibition of Michael's work that isn't on the big screen, but it demonstrates, it talks about your lives and things that we might not have covered here. But I'd like you to wrap it up, either one of you, both of you, sharing anything you'd like to touch on to share with our audience so they can get even more, get to know you even better.
Well, I just have some words of some advice. Uh, I was always like a homebody. Somebody would say, "Hey, do you want to go?" Blah, blah, like, no, it's all right now. But if she were to say, "Let's go to the coast," or she would anywhere, I will go now because I didn't know that I might have been cut short of seeing some things if I hadn't say, if I wasn't saved from the aneurysm, I would have missed them. I'd have missed an awesome Def Leppard concert, a Cirque du Soleil, so coast. And so if she ever says, "You want to go to, I don't even know, do you want to go to Wyoming to visit?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's just go."
Thanks.
So
And what he's referring to is after all of that, we got the news 2 days before Christmas in 2022 that he had a rare aneurysm. And if it was not fixed, he would not likely survive. In fact, it was scary because they didn't know if he would survive the surgery.
this is a real weird one.
So after, that 26 years, and then I think we had been married for 10 years at that point, it was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? So we live, we take chances and we do things. I've surprised him with, like you said, Def Leppard ticket. Just do it. Just go for it. Live your dream. And if it doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough.
That's absolutely true. That is a fact. We have to take chances.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to. We have to step out and be brave and just embrace life. So those are some really good words to close with. And I hate to close because I think we could talk forever. And it's so great that I could have you both on here, with both of you working together, living together, sharing a very exciting and fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I'm where I belong.
yep,
Thank
you
you
know,
very much.
oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure when Kerrie's, because I reached out to her and she goes, "Can we do it together?" And I'm like, yeah. But I do want to thank you for joining us, Kerrie and Hans. And I want to thank our audience who you were faithful to come back for this podcast. Courage, confidence, and connections. Embrace your life, love it, and we'll see you next time. This is Janice Debo signing off, and come back and see us later.
Bye.